Hey, this is Steve Knoble here with another Knoble Tech Tip from Lowbrow Customs. So what we're doing today is we're going to look at the drive belt on your Harley motorcycle. If you have a 1980 or newer Harley-Davidson, it's probably going to have a belt on it and it's probably going to need some attention and need to be adjusted and aligned to get proper life out of your belt. Drive belt tension and rear wheel alignment is extremely important. With proper tension and proper alignment, your drive belt will really last like the life of your motorcycle. But it is a very precision thing and everything needs to be lined up and tensioned exactly properly to get the proper handling on your bike and the proper life out of your components. If you have too much tension, you can overload the output shaft bearing on your transmission and smoke that. And if you don't have enough tension, you'll chew up your belt because it'll kind of flap around and won't sit properly inside the pulleys. Let's take a closer look. So in order to set your belt tension, you need to know what the proper deflection is. Harley recommends a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of deflection with 10 pounds of force on your belt. So to know you have 10 pounds of force, you can get a special little tool. You can find these online. And basically it has there's a spring inside here and then there's a little mark here on the shaft. And when you push it into the mark, that is 10 pounds of force. So to measure that deflection, you can obviously use a tape measure from the ground. Or if you still have your stock belt guard on here, there is a little window with a couple little hash marks on here, and you can actually see the belt through there, so you can see how much deflection you actually have going on. So we'll take a look at this dyno and see where we're at. You can put the tool on here and push into the 10 pounds of force, and you can see we have about 3/4 of an inch of deflection down in there. So this belt is sitting a little bit loose. So we're going to want to tension it up. And as we tension it up, we're going to want to watch the alignment of the rear wheel too. Because especially on the rubber mount dynos, if you knock that rear wheel out of alignment, that can lead to the Harley wobble. Alignment and attention to detail is key. There's another way to check the belt tension that some old bikers showed me years ago. So if you don't have the special tool, the general trick is you can grab the belt with your fingertips, and if the belt has proper tension, you should be able to take 2 fingertips and twist the belt to about 45 degrees with a reasonable amount of force. Obviously, if you can twist it further, the belt's too loose. If you can't achieve that 45 degrees, the belt's too tight. But remember, when you do this, you want to grab it somewhere that's not right on top of the pulley in the front or the rear. You want to make sure you have a little bit of belt hanging out there. That way you get the proper amount of deflection on it. And you can tell this belt is a little bit loose because it twists past 45 degrees. So in order to set the tension a little bit tighter, we're going to have to break the rear axle free. That way the whole rear axle will move around. So on this 08 Street Bob, we've got a wrench over here on the right side and then 1/8" here on the left side. So we can break these free. And I did already crack these free before we shot this. Then from there, you have an adjuster Allen bolt on each side of your swing arm. So there's one here. And then there's one on the other side. And with that, we can take a 5/16 Allen socket or just a 5/16 Allen wrench, and we're going to tighten it up and we're going to move the whole rear wheel back. As we do this, you have to remember that when you tighten up one side, that's also pivoting the wheel to one direction or the other one. So you want to tighten them up as evenly as possible. And then also we're going to keep going back and checking the alignment on the rear axle. That way we know the rear wheel is straight as we set the tension on it. First thing we're going to do, and I'll kind of try to use the wrenches like a clock to, keep in mind how much we're actually tightening up. So initially we're going to go 1/4 turn on the left side. A 1/4 turn on that side. We'll give the belt a push there. Probably about one more. 1/4 turn there. 1/4 turn on that side. So now we're getting pretty close on tension. And we can use the tool again and check our tension. And we're sitting just a little bit loose, but before we go that last little bit, we're going to want to align the rear axle or check the alignment on it. Because otherwise, once we set the tension, we won't be able to go back anymore to set the alignment. You can get a special tool online. With the dynos, the thing you're really going to measure is there is a hole here in the swing arm on each side, and you're going to measure from that to the center line of the axle. And there's a hole on each side, and you're going to want to have this alignment within probably a good 32nd of an inch. Because like I said, you want to get the alignment dead on, because a little bit of a misalignment on the rear wheel can kind of push on your rubber engine mounts, and that's one of the things that can cause the Harley wobble that everyone's heard about. We're going to take our tool, we'll push that in the hole in the swing arm, and then we're going to take our little brass fitting here, which we can loosen up and slide up and down. And we're going to tighten that up right at the peak of that radius there. And that will be the center line. And then we'll go over the other side and compare that over here. And it looks like we're sitting pretty good on alignment. So we're going to tighten it up just a wee little bit to get that last little bit of tension in there. And again, we're going to turn each wrench the same amount. That way the wheel moves back evenly. So we're just going to go with maybe 1/8 of a turn on this one. 1/8 of a turn on this one. Check our tension. That's sitting pretty good right there. Well, we'll go a tad bit more. So maybe a 1/16 of a turn there. Then check our tension again. And everything's looking pretty good on the alignment now and the belt tension. So the last step will be to tighten up the rear axle. So you're going to pull this in until it's tight, until everything pulls in and seats. There is a torque spec, but you can't get a socket on here with most of the exhaust in the way. So we're just going to tighten this up good and tight. Then there's a retainer E-clip on the other side here. And after that, we're ready to go ride. So just to give a recap, remember when you set your belt tension, it's 10 pounds of force to give you a 1/2 inch to 5/8 of deflection. That's all I really have for you today. This has been a Knoble Tech Tip with Lowbrow Customs. And remember, for all your V-twin parts needs, go to lowbrowcustoms.com.